Hey guys, welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid. We are allegedly less than 24 hours away from Hurricane Florence making landfall. It's still in the wee pre-dawn hours of Thursday morning here, September 13, 2018. The latest is that perhaps as early as 2 a.m. on Friday morning, which is only about 20 hours from now. It's about 6 a.m. here where I am in Central Virginia. Hurricane Florence is expected to hit the coast of Carolinas, North Carolina, they believe, somewhere between Cape Lookout and Wilmington. That's the latest. Supposedly, the storm was downgraded to a Category 2 overnight with winds falling from 140 miles an hour down to about 110 miles an hour. Now, these storms, as we know, all have minds of their own. No one can predict exactly what they're going to do. They're saying, as of just 5 minutes before I walked out the back door to come into the woodshed here and record this morning's ramble, that once Hurricane Florence makes landfall, they're projecting it to move south and west and then potentially make its way north and up the Ohio Valley or the mid-Ohio Valley. So, again, no one knows, but if this storm tracks the way they're kind of projecting it to track now, here in Central Virginia, we're going to be a lot better off than what we thought we were going to be just as recently as last night before we went to bed. It looks like parts of Ohio and even the western portion of West Virginia might get more wind and rain than those of us here in Central Virginia. But again, I'm not saying this is going to be the case. No one knows when it comes to hurricanes, tornadoes, typhoons, blizzards, all this stuff. This thing could hit land and go anywhere. So we're going to continue to remain prepared. Two things here. One is I want to give, this isn't doom and gloom, but this is a big warning to everybody in America. The biggest danger you will face, even if you're nowhere near this storm, you might be in Washington State, California, Arizona, as far away from the East Coast as you can get, Hawaii and Alaska. And folks in Canada, Europe, around the world, this could apply to a lot of you too. I'm going to tell you about that. It was brought to my attention yesterday. It was something I saw when we were out in Charlottesville making our last minute preparations several days in advance. We're ahead of the curve. We're ready to go, folks. There's something huge we're going to do today. If you're in the storm's path, and even if you're not, this is something you should do inside your household. And do it maybe at least once a year, update everything, maybe every 6 months. We're going to be doing, we've done this, we're going to update the information with this today. What I'm talking about is your family plan. What is your family's plan for when catastrophe strikes? We know ours, our family knows ours, but our little boy, Daniel, he's 7, he's in 2nd grade. We're going to go over it again because we haven't done it since probably last spring. We had a nor'easter come through about 6 months ago, and we discussed this again then. We're going to discuss it again now. If you need another person, if you need help, for instance, let's say a tree falls on our house, it takes out me and Dearly, my wife, and Daniel's there all alone, where can he go? He's got to know the answer to that question. Well, he knows the answer to that question, okay? But we're going to go over that again today. We have folks who are very close to us who we can depend on for help if we need it, and they can depend on us for help also. I'm also going to make contact today with that other household. I know they've been busy getting ready just as we have, but I'm going to make contact with them again today just to say, hey, just to remind you, you guys need help. You come here. We need help. We're coming to you. Who's that person in your life? Who is that household in your life? Okay. We have multiple cell phones, multiple power sources. We are going to make sure our son, Daniel, who's only 7, once again, knows where these phones are, knows where these power sources are, knows how to access all this, can dial 911, all these things. This is a plan that all households need to have in place at all times. With a storm like this coming, it's a great time to review your plan. It's an even better time to come up with a plan like this if you don't have one in place already. Now, I want to talk to you for just a minute about really what I see is the biggest danger everybody in America faces with this storm only hours away from making landfall. And it's not the winds, it's not the rain, it's not the flooding. I mean, it is if you're on the East Coast. And this thing might go up into New England. They're saying the winds and the rain might go up into Rhode Island. No one knows. Be prepared. But if you're in California and you're thinking, what's Crazy Lake talking about now? Because we have a lot of followers in California. And I want to thank everybody who's been sending your prayers and your thoughts and your well wishes. We're seeing in the comments section, you guys are praying for us. Thank you. And again, we'll continue to upload videos as long as we can safely. Again, we're not getting out here and putting our life and limb on the line to get that Emmy Award-winning YouTube video of trees being knocked over in our fields. We're not going to do that. But if we can get out safely, we will continue to upload videos so you guys know we're okay. But listen, yesterday, while Dearly and I were in town in Charlottesville, we were driving down the road. We came up to an intersection, and there was a guy, and he was probably in his early 30s. He was standing on the intersection with a sign. I looked over and saw him just as I was pulling up to the stoplight, and I saw the words money and hurricane. There were more words than that on his sign, but that's what I saw. I saw money and hurricane. And so we stop at the light, and I detect movement out of, I mean, I'm kind of hyper vigilant. It comes with, you know, the PTSD from the war and all that stuff. I don't view it as a bad thing. A lot of folks kind of view hypervigilance as a bad thing. I guess it is if it totally dictates the way you live your life. It doesn't for me. And I don't want it medicated out of me, and I'm not medicating it out of me. So I kind of like see everything that's going on around me, whether you can tell that I'm looking at it or not. Well, I detected movement coming from this guy with the sign. So I glance over out of the corner of my eyes, and I see him pulling an iPhone out of his pocket, holding it behind the sign so the cars in front of him cannot see it, and he's texting or IMing or something on his iPhone. I mean, how much do iPhones cost, people? I mean, $1,000, $600 plus. He was well dressed, and again, you know, I don't know his situation. I'm not judging. Here's what I'm telling you: you've got to watch out for with the aftermath of this storm. I may be wrong in this assumption because we all know what happens when we assume, but I'd be willing to bet, if I were a betting man, that this guy who was younger than me I mean, you know, he looked like there'd be probably a lot of people out there willing to give him a job if he wanted one. But again, I saw the words money and hurricane. He was probably panhandling money under the guise of trying to evacuate the area to get out of the way of the storm. And there's a lot of really well-intentioned people in Charlottesville that have a lot of money who would feel really good about themselves if they were to give this guy money, and probably would feel even better about themselves when they went and told their friends at the university about how they helped that young man that day. Guys, it's crazy. You see these folks on the corners in Charlottesville. I left the area for 8 years, and then I moved back in 8 years later. Crazy. When I came back 8 years later after living on the West Coast for a time, spending time in Iraq, spending 6 years in Southeast Asia, I came back. I saw the same panhandlers on the same corners, on the same streets in Charlottesville 8 years later that were there when I left. And I've sat by maybe eating at a restaurant on the sidewalk outside and just watched well-intentioned person after well-intentioned person just handing money to these guys. And I thought, my gosh, in the last 8 years since I've been around the world, these people have probably made way more money than I have. And again, I don't know their stories. I know I'm coming across as judging. Folks, watch out for the e-beggars, people looking for money when this is all said and done, and people looking for money while it's all going on. Dearly asked me, why is this guy trying to evacuate? We're not in the evacuation zone. And I said, honey, he's not trying to evacuate. This guy's going to have a party tonight. He's having a hurricane party, and these well-intentioned folks in this area who are well-intentioned enough to give him money. That's how I'm going to word it, okay? They're going to fit the bill. The liquor store was right across from where this guy was standing. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this guy needed money to make his provisions, but you know, wouldn't you think he'd take that $600 iPhone? Whatever. He's got to have his communications. I'm not even going to go that route because I can just see getting lambasted for that. Folks, people are going to be coming out of the woodwork. looking for money when this is all said and done. I'm not saying don't give. What I'm saying is give cautiously and give intelligently. If you just feel that your heart is burdened to give to those affected, there are a lot of folks who are going to need it. My recommendation, number one, do you know anybody personally that was affected by the storm? Can you give to them directly? Is that possible? That's a really good way to do it. Don't even try to give to us. We've said this in other videos, and we thank you if you're interested, but we can take care of ourselves. We are taking care of ourselves. Our needs are met. We have everything we need. If there's anything we want, we'll buy it. If we don't have the money to buy it, we'll save for it. You know, like a ton of plumbing we just had fixed. We saved for a few months. We got it fixed. We don't do the whole Patreon thing. We don't do the here's our PayPal address. We don't even do here's the P.O. box. Send us this stuff. We need it. That's not us. Not judging anybody that does. That's not us. Folks, there are people out there right now, and there are organizations out there right now with this storm coming, just watering at the mouth, seeing dollar signs. Be careful. I've talked before in previous videos about that little old lady that lives on every street that opens her checkbook up to everybody. And so she would have a stack of mail this thick every day when I was delivering mail. And it was all from people looking for another $2 from her. Save the Bay, save the whales, save the Smurfs, save your favorite television sitcom show from the 1970s. These people are going to come out like the winds and the rains from Hurricane Florence herself. Keep your eyes open. I'm not saying keep your heart closed, but keep your brain open, okay? You know, if you've got to give, I would recommend, again, do you know someone personally affected by the storm you can give to? Or number two, think of a bona fide, well-known organization. And even then, I mean, gosh, you've got to be careful. Guys, this is a very sensitive topic, very sensitive topic. There's so much that needs to be said that is difficult to say because of the way people take. I mean, we're on YouTube, guys. If I say something the wrong way, our channel's gone. And I know YouTube is looking out for the best interests of everybody involved, so their hearts and policies are in the right place as well. Fortunately, you guys are picking up what I'm laying down because you're intelligent, you're smart, you can think for yourselves, and you can think past what, you know, the way they spin everything. Guys, be smart. If you're in the path of the storm, be prepared. If you're not in the path of the storm, be smart, okay? So I'm going to wrap it up right here. I've gone on rambling for 13 minutes here at this point. I'm going to get in, wake up my wife, wake up my son, give them their hugs and their snuggles, and get the kid off to school and all that stuff, and then go around and make sure that we are as prepared as we believe we are. We'll be checking back in with you for more later today, but I wanted to throw that out there because this is something that, I mean, number one, if you're in the path of the storm, and even if you're not, get together with your family. This is just to reiterate the bullet points. Make sure you've got your emergency plan in place, and make sure everybody in your household, even the youngest of your children, are on board. Number two, even if you're not in the path of the storm, people are going to start coming out with their hands out big time right now. Be smart. Think with your brain, not with your heart, okay? Thanks for being with us here at Homesteading Off the Grid. We'll see you for more next time.